Hi guys, I know I've been gone for a couple of weeks, but I wanted to talk about a video that I saw on TikTok the other week. It's very highly disturbing. Honestly, not much makes my jaw drop anymore, but my jaw was on the floor when I saw this video. I just wasn't expecting it. So let's watch it together.
A video posted on TikTok has this Lexington church in the spotlight. It has since been taken down, but reposts remain on several social media platforms. You can see people portraying soldiers carrying air rifles and shooting at someone dressed as the devil on a staircase as young children watched and chanted, "Take him out, blow him up."
The clip you saw was simply killing the devil.
In a Facebook video, Pastor Dwayne Walker says the skit is a 32-year tradition and he didn't mean to offend anyone. Walker says his intended message was one of spiritual warfare, encouraging children to reject the devil.
And maybe you're right, maybe we're wrong. But understand, we're painting a real picture to kids, visibly, what's going on invisibly.
Lexington police tell us they've received many calls and tips regarding this, but they say nothing criminal happened, and they're referring complaints to the Cabinet for Health and Family Services.
Yeah, I know. It's insane. And as much as it did make my jaw drop, only because I just didn't expect to see that. I'm not sure what I expected. It wasn't that. But at the same time, it shouldn't be shocking that they're okay with sending this message at all, because violence is oftentimes celebrated and portrayed as like a righteous, good thing in the Bible over and over and over again, even with children. We see this because they market Noah's Ark story as like this cute kids thing so often. I don't know, like, I mean, I'm sure so many of you have seen this. Like, you'll walk into a church or a Sunday school room and there'll be like a painting of Noah's Ark with all of his animals on the wall and a rainbow and like the flood coming down or whatever. Literally, like, teaching to children that God drowned everybody, men, women, children, animals, because he didn't like what they did. And it's such a beautiful thing that God gave us a rainbow telling us that he wasn't going to kill us all by drowning again. That, to me, is like celebrating violence and being like, wow, this is such an amazing story. And things like that happen again and again and again in the Bible, not only when God commits violence, but when he commands other people to commit violence because they're seen as the enemy. And we see this happen in current day, obviously, in so many different ways. The one that comes to the forefront of my mind right now is how ICE has been murdering people on the streets. And when I talk about this on social media, I will get comments after like so many comments. First, they'll start with, it was self-defense. And then when that like thing doesn't hold up anymore, almost always the next comments or the first comments are, well, they were a criminal. They were a criminal. They didn't do what ICE told them to do. They're telling me they think that it's justified to murder someone if ICE doesn't like what they're doing, if they're protesting in the wrong way, or if they came here illegally, which is a civil offense, by the way. That is deserving of death. That shouldn't be that shocking when it comes from people who are, when it comes to like conservatism and Christianity combined, because let's be honest, those two things go hand in hand like a lot in modern day. And that isn't shocking because there's so much justification for violence and like righteous violence at that. And that's why you'll see like so often Christian conservatives are the ones supporting things and wanting to bring back things like the death penalty and the firing squad. And so that's what's so frustrating about hearing this pastor be like, you know, basically, it's not wrong because we're just teaching them that we're shooting the devil. This is just Satan. That's interesting because I see this translate over into real life. The reason that happens, obviously, is because Christianity oftentimes would just start demonizing people. So what's the difference between Satan and somebody working for Satan or possessed by demons or possessed by Satan? There is no difference. Surprise, there is no difference. And I mean, we've seen the narratives that Trump preaches, right? The enemy within. The enemy within. Like, that is just demonizing everybody. And he's done this the whole time. Demonizing everybody who just doesn't agree with him. Who wants to criticize him. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like that. So what are you going to get when when people are grown up to believe that there's all this righteous violence going on and it's good and it's actually something to cheer for, like they did during that VBS skit, because it's God's justice. So what are you going to get when you raise people like that, and then when they grow up, you demonize human beings, and then violence is done to those human beings? They're going to see it as righteous, as just, as something that should have happened. It's bad. Obviously, the way that conservatives, like Christian conservatives, demonize different people, they do it in so many different ways. And since I'm thinking about ICE, they're always like, you know, these people are rapists, they're drug dealers, they're killers. It's never, ever like these are people who came here illegally because they really wanted to seek out a better life for themselves and they wanted a better life for their kids. It's never portrayed that way. It's never portrayed that way. It's these people are pedophiles, they're killers, they're like, the list goes, they eat cats and dogs. The list goes on and on. They're committing fraud. They have to constantly be demonizing these people, or else how else are they going to be okay with ICE time and time again killing people on the street for running away, for driving their cars away? They're not going to be okay with it unless you're demonizing these people. So showing Satan as a human being getting destroyed by AR-15s is going to translate, obviously. And it makes me so angry when they're like, oh, I don't understand what? We're just shooting the devil. Yeah, and then the next day you're calling somebody demonic. So many different groups of people. I remember when there was that trend going on TikTok of demons go by they, them. AKA non-binary people are actually just demons disguised as human beings, or whatever the narrative was. That's dangerous. We're just seeing it all the time. And then back to, you know, Trump demonizing certain groups of people. That's how people become okay with Trump calling for the deaths of the Democrats who said, hey, don't follow unlawful orders. And Trump's like reposting stuff about how they should be hung. People are going to become more okay with that when they're like, hey, this is the enemy within. This is Satan working. So it's not actually about hurting people. It's just about stopping the enemy. And I also just want to talk about the fact really quick that, and I've said this before, I'm sure on here, I know I've said it other places, you cannot convince me that a religion is peaceful when a huge chunk of the entire belief system is you deserve to burn in hell for all of eternity for not being a perfect person. Because you sin, because you're not perfect, which is impossible, whatever perfect might mean to them, you deserve to burn in hell for all of eternity. If that is like the core message of your belief system, it is not a peaceful religion. And I'm so tired of being gaslit by people, or I was gaslit my whole life into believing that. And people act like it's so ridiculous that I bring that point up. But that's an oxymoron to me. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've been, driving down south, and I know this is like a common occurrence, see constant billboards of fire and like, you're going to hell, or are you going to hell, or you better think about like where you're going to go when you die. That's violent. That's a threat. That's like, you better believe like us, or you're going here to this fiery place to be tortured for all of eternity. Nothing about that is peaceful. So if you are born, you're grown, you're growing up being taught that you're actually deserving of eternal suffering because you're not a perfect person, are you really going to feel that bad about people being slaughtered on the street for committing a crime? No, because you've been taught your entire life that doing something wrong means that you deserve eternal torture. Everybody. Everybody. So, like, that's their form of justice. It's so distorted and twisted in that way. But yeah, for today, that's all I wanted to talk about. This video is so incredibly disturbing, but it also just showcases the current movement that's going on right now and some of the core messaging within Christianity. I feel like I have to say this at the end of videos because there's always bean soup people. I'm not saying all Christians are violent. I'm not saying all Christians support violence. I'm not saying all Christians are awful people, whatever. But what I am saying is seeing this, as shocking as it was at first, it makes sense when you think about it. It makes complete sense. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.